Okay, good afternoon. This open meeting of the Board of Appeals is being conducted hybrid pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Town of Nantucket Zoning Board of Appeals is convening in person and by video using Zoom. It's posted on the town's website how the public may join. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as drafted?
So, second.
Okay. Jinx, you're both it.
Yep.
So John made the motion, Lisa seconded. We have 5 people sitting at the table, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Public comment, do we have anyone for public comment?
We do. I see 2 hands raised as you said it. So I have Emily Molden and I also have Samuel Boron.
Okay, well, let's start with Emily. And again, just a reminder, this is a public comment for items not listed on the agenda. And there's no like Q&A, we're just listening to what members of the public might have to say to bring to our attention. Is there a time limit on this? We haven't really done, like, is it 3 minutes, 2 minutes?
It's usually 3. It's based on the chair's.
Okay, well, let's, I think let's just see what Emily has to say. Okay. Emily, the floor is
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, very much. Emily Molden here. I won't take up too much of your time. I just wanted to take an opportunity, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, to inform the board about a citizen warrant article that I have submitted for the 2026 annual town meeting in May. And it is proposing an amendment to the zoning bylaw relevant to lots that are created under Chapter 4181L. So just real briefly, by way of background, this is actually an article that I have submitted a couple of times in the past in one form or another. And what I have submitted this year is the same language that appeared in the warrant in the 2025 Springtown meeting that was supported by the planning board. And essentially what it does is it changes the language so that when lots are created based on the state's provision that allows for division based on the presence of 2 or more structures that predate subdivision control, which on Nantucket is 1955. Currently, our zoning bylaw has language in it that automatically grants those newly created non-conforming lots with pre-existing non-conforming status. And we've seen, I think, a lot of challenges that have arisen from the redevelopment of those lots without appropriate oversight. Historically, before this language was put into the bylaw in 2012, a variance would be required from the zoning board in order to redevelop these newly created non-conforming lots, but that's no longer the case. So what my article seeks to do is to change this language so that some of the redevelopment that's happening on these really small non-conforming lots would have to come back to the zoning board for some level of approval. It's a special permit in this case. So I will provide the article to the board to review. The planning board is holding a public hearing on it on January 5th. I'm happy to come back and report to the board on how that goes in February, if that's helpful. But otherwise, I really just wanted to alert you all that I've proposed that amendment to the zoning bylaw. And again, happy to answer questions about it in the future.
Thank you, Emily. Who was the next person who had a public comment?
Samuel Barney Boron.
Hi, I'd like to make a public comment on blah 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 blah. I'm making like a public comment of every. So go fuck yourself.
What happened?
Prank.
It's okay. All right, moving on. So approval of the minutes from, well, there's nobody else, right, online that wanted to speak to us? No, okay. Approval of the minutes, November 13th, 2025. I read them. I don't have any comments or revisions. Did anybody have any typos, comments, revisions, anything? No, okay. If we can get a motion to approve the minutes
So
as
moved.
drafted. Okay, John makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Lisa seconds it, okay. So we'll do 5 at the table, Jim over. So Jim, Lisa, myself, John, and Elisa, all those in favor of approving the minutes as drafted, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion carries. Okay, so we're going to move on to new business. We have 2025-0023, 9 Hinsdale Road, Attorney Alger representing. Is she here to give us an update at all? I see that it's been requested to continue. I wasn't sure if she was going to withdraw.
She's on. I'm not sure if she's prepared. Sarah, did you have any up? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Hi, Madam Chair, thank you very much, Sarah Alger, for the applicant. The trailers have finally arrived and the containers have now been put on the registered trailers, so they're no longer considered storage containers. Now we're in the process of getting a special permit from the planning board for interior, exterior storage and warehousing, which will completely resolve the issue.
Oh, so they are on the trailers at this point? I thought
They
you guys were
are.
waiting. Oh, I thought you were waiting for a crane.
The crane came a couple days ago.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, the crane came, lifted up the containers, put them on the trailers. I thought, and this was a miscommunication that I had with the building commissioner. I thought that once the containers were on registered trailers that have Massachusetts license plates on them, that they could then be parked in a parking lot, which is a use by right. But the building commissioner has taken an opposite view, and I don't want to have a dispute with the building commissioner if I don't have to. So I'm going to the planning board now for this storage and warehousing special permit. He doesn't believe that a trailer is considered a motor vehicle.
Okay, so,
For purposes of the bylaw, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to the
Right.
planning board, and that will happen in January. So I'll probably have to continue one more time, but I think we should have this fully resolved after I hope,
okay.
after the
And
January
that
meeting.
5th yeah, okay. So, all right. So Sarah has made, or Attorney Alger has made a request to continue this to January 8th, 2026. Do we
I
know?
probably should go till February because the January meeting of the planning board is January 13.
Oh, okay. And then what's the action deadline on this one? Or is there no action deadline because it's a enforcement action?
I've been signing extensions, but I don't know when my most recent one went through.
Okay,
The current action deadline is January 19th.
okay.
I'm happy to sign another one.
Okay, so let's get an extension signed, and then can we agree to continue this to the February, I just had the schedule, the February 12th, February 12th meeting for the zoning board? Someone make that? You'll make that?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Elisa makes the motion, Lisa seconds. Again, we'll just vote Jim over. All those in favor of granting the extension to February 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, so good luck with all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so let's see, 2025-0025, 25 Monahanset Road, Sarah Alger also represents. They have requested to withdraw without prejudice.
So moved.
Okay, Lisa makes that motion. Elisa seconds that motion. Again, Jim Over, say aye if you are in favor of granting that.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Next, yep, you're welcome. Next, we have application 2025-0029, 7 Pleasant Street LLC, for 7 Pleasant Street. And Attorney Arthur Reed is representing the applicant. Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't have the update.
I will make the motion to approve the request to withdraw without prejudice.
I'll second it.
Sorry, that's okay. Okay, so, sorry, who made the motion?
Lisa.
And who seconded?
Elisa.
Okay. Again, Jim Over, all those in favor of granting the request to withdraw without prejudice, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that carries. Goodness, okay. So 2025-0030, Hampton S. Lynch Jr. trustee for 2 Green Lane. Arthur Reed is the attorney on that one. That application has also requested to continue to January 8th, 2026. Can I get a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
okay, so Lisa makes the motion, Lisa seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Over, aye. Jim?
Aye.
Okay, that's okay. So that carries, that's continued. Okay,
And then the old business
what?
for the Madikasham.
Do you want me
that's
to-
a continuance to at the next page?
Do you want me to do that one now before we go? Okay, so under old business 2025-0028, Jim and Roberta Conroy, 18 Madikasham Valley Road, Attorney Rick Bodett representing the applicant, have requested to also to continue to January 8th, 2026. Could I get a motion for that continuance?
Sure. I'll make that motion.
Second.
And John seconds. Okay, Jim Over, all those in favor of granting the continuance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that carries. Okay, so now we'll go back to new business, 2025-0031, 46 West Myacomet LLC, 46 West Myacomet Road, Attorney Arthur Reed presenting for the applicant. Do you want this back, Nikki? Yeah. Yeah. Attorney Reed, you have the floor.
Just waiting to be brought over. Oh, here we are. Okay. Wait a minute. All I'm getting is a blank screen.
This guy's microphone.
Okay, here we go. I assume you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Arthur.
Okay, thanks very much. Attorney Arthur Reed, representing the applicants in this matter, 46 West Myacomet LLC, which is my clients, Michael and Jennifer Peacock, who have owned this property for many years. This property is actually technically 2 lots that are considered as one, that are separated by West Myacomet Road, one being to the north of it and one to the south of it. The south lot being waterfront property, which contains the existing house. Under the terms of previous ZBA relief, the 2 lots are considered as one, and they're limited to have one of the lots be built upon with a house. As a result of coastal erosion along the South Shore, my clients want prudently to move their house across West Myacomet Road to the other parcel. That's been contemplated for some time. There was actually an earlier decision many years ago that contemplated that, but it hadn't been done. We went before the ZBA briefly earlier this year on the matter, but we withdrew it because we were still pending in our application to the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program for their approval of the move, which is essential. Obviously, they were reviewing it intensively as far as environmental issues involving species protection, and we had to have that in place and be consistent with that in any event, so it didn't make any sense to go forward with the ZBA until that was in place. So we withdrew so that it would be renoticed and so on, and we're back in today with it. Now, and this is in the Moorlands Management District. The house is pre-existing non-conforming and larger than would otherwise be permitted in Moorlands Management. So it requires special permit relief, which now is vested in the ZBA. As I mentioned, we now have approval from Natural Heritage as to the move, and you have a plan which shows the proposed new location as approved by them. It's essentially as shown on the previous plans submitted to the ZBA. The only real difference between what has been approved by by Natural Heritage and what was originally submitted to the ZBA is that a deck area has been removed in order to comply with request of Natural Heritage in terms of reducing the amount of disturbed area on the site. So essentially, this has been reviewed, as I say, by Natural Heritage, which is the body that has the jurisdiction over the environmental protection on the site. And that has all been handled by Brian Madden of LEC Environmental, who is on the call and able to participate and answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I would put it to the board for any questions. I think we, once again, are doing what we should be doing in terms of the overall coastal resiliency concerns that we have today in terms of moving the house out of harm's way and onto the part of the property that's away from the ocean. With that, I'll let you pose any questions that you may have.
Okay, Lisa has a question for you.
Yeah, I just want to confirm that the amount of vegetation that's being retained is accurate on the Bracken plan, since there's none of that shown on the NISA plan.
Brian, do you have any comment on that?
Yes. Hi, for the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants. So for the proposed revegetation area south of West Maya Comet Road, so that's the existing house footprint, lawn, landscaped areas around and the driveway, that restored footprint is 14,840 square feet. The final Bracken plan shows the existing area disturbance at 20,129 square feet and the proposed area disturbance at 19,300 square feet.
Right, where I'm looking at something in the packet on page 9 that shows a line of vegetation. That's all I'm wondering, is that line of vegetation going to be, is that still the proposed disturbed area?
You said page 9?
I think it's page 9, yeah.
Yep. That's the February 17th, 2025 plan?
I have to find the date. Where is the date?
Yes, that's on page 9.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically all the plans that were in the packet show vegetation up and around the driveway, the whole north side of the lot is being undisturbed. And I just want to confirm that that's still the case, since the plan that we got this morning via email doesn't show the vegetation.
Oh, so the final Bracken plan, the environmental submission plan is dated, has a last revision date of October 8th, 2025. Do you have that plan?
I don't know. Nikki's checking.
I mean, if appropriate, I could certainly share that. That does show the final limit of work and the edge of proposed clearing in relation to what's to remain undisturbed.
Why don't, you can go ahead and share your screen. I'm not finding that plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's about what's shown in the other drawing.
Yeah, I think the only difference was this generator and pit area. That was, I don't believe that was shown on the plan.
That's correct.
But otherwise, yeah, relatively the same. There was a small area of decking that was removed from the existing footprints, basically over in this corner of the property or the house, that we had removed based on the prior feedback we got from the ZBA, to ensure that there was a overall net reduction in structural square footage between existing to proposed. So there's a net reduction of about 24 square feet of structure in comparison.
Would you mind scrolling up, Brian, so we can see the existing lot?
Oh,
So, so you're still proposing the viewing stand, the viewing platform?
yeah, we reduced the viewing stand based on the prior approval, and we shifted it over a little bit so it immediately abuts this proposed walking path to remain and connect with the existing walking path. I think the here's the original plan that showed a branching path with the deck more centrally located, whereas we tucked it closer towards the existing or rerouted trail walking path to keep it shortened and more compact.
And how large is that now?
It's proposed at 12 by 13.
And what was it before?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but it was larger. Because we did purposely reduce the size of that as well.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
when Lisa's done, sorry.
I'm
were you
finished.
Finished, okay. Hi there. I may be recalling this wrong, but if everyone would help me, I thought we said no viewing deck whatsoever.
I think we were concerned about it.
Oh, I am not in favor of any viewing deck whatsoever. I will vote no on this project if that's included. That's number one. Number two, so the house square footage is the same, is that correct? The house itself?
Yeah.
Upon moving it?
Yes, with the removal of a deck area from the existing house.
Right, and the deck around the house is decreased in size. There's an added shed. Is that true?
No, the shed is a relocation.
So that existed on the southern side, it did.
Yeah, it's right here.
And then the addition of the generator. And it just looks like more gravel driveway, more driveway ground cover. Or not ground cover, but more driveway square footage compared to what it was on the southern side. Is that true?
Appears to be just because it's set back further from the roadway. I don't have an exact square footage comp
Okay,
for that.
I was just looking at page 11, but better with what you shared. Are there any other increases or decreases that we should know about, other than what I just named?
I think that's it.
Well, Brian, can you just reiterate the revegetated area on the southerly lot versus the newly cleared area on the northerly lot?
Yeah, so the proposed revegetation area south of the roadway is 14,850 square feet. The proposed area of disturbance is 19,300 square feet.
So that's an increase.
I mean, the intent of it is to have the house further back, so it's not needing to be moved again sometime in the future. And that's really I think the resulting increase is having that driveway go back further.
And one more follow-up. As far as the southern lot, once the house moves over to the northern side of the road, let's call it, will you be planning on recutting in the paths, or is there an existing path there now that will just remain to the ocean?
This section, if you can see my cursor, this is
Yes.
proposed to connect to existing.
Okay, I don't think that there should be any cutting. I think it should be completely revegetated, and the southern side of the road should just be revegetated with indigenous plantings and not mowed and not have a deck. That's all.
Brian, is the decking on the north side, is that an increase in decking from what existed on the south side?
No, it's less.
No.
Okay.
They removed
24
some.
square feet. I know they removed that, yep. But I'm saying that deck is carried over from the original house. I mean, it's reconstructed, but it's the same. I'm just looking for ways to decrease the disturbed area.
Yeah, so on the architect's plan, this shows the highlighted footprint of the deck to be removed, 880 square feet. With the 12 by 13 foot deck, that's 156 square feet. So that's the net reduction of 24 square feet.
I do have a question. On the architect's plan, it says, just to follow up with Elisa's question, existing walking paths. So those are not existing. You just said that they're new.
Basically, this section is new. There is, from the existing house, there is an existing walking path to
Okay.
get to beach stairs.
Right, okay. But that little squiggle that comes from the driveway right across the street is all proposed as new.
Yeah, it's within the existing developed footprint. I think it's on the order of 3-4 feet wide.
And why does it go onto the neighboring lot?
Oh, you're talking this section right here?
That's right.
Yeah, that was decommissioned as part of the conservation approval, so it was rerouted to stay on site. There is some remnant trail there that's not utilized.
So this is allowing, that walking path is allowing them to get to their existing beach stairs, which still exist.
Right.
Correct.
I think I'd be okay with the walking path. I don't think it has to be, it could be the same. It's wider, the new part is wider than the existing, but I think I could be okay with a walking path to get to their existing wood platform and steps, but I still don't think the proposed deck, the 12 by 13, it's not like it's that far that you need a resting spot. I think
Yeah.
it's,
Could it possibly be down the property line to attach? That seems a lot less invasive to do a walking path if we were to go in that direction to connect to the existing path in the wetland setback right now to get to the stairs. I'd rather if we had to approve a cut through, maybe not right through the middle of all that new vegetation.
Well,
You already have the driveway
I
there in part of the
guess-
house, so that part's already disturbed.
right, and I sort of agree with Susan that I think could be a lot narrower. I mean, I'm not sure what it's shown as here, but maybe it should just be the dimension of what exists. 3 feet, enough for one person to walk.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
whatever.
don't want it to turn into a driveway or a road.
Exactly, a
Well,
place to
like-
take like a little Kubota, not a Kubota, you know.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
just, I
To
don't
bring
want it
your
to
wine
turn
down.
into a Jeep,
Yeah.
drive down Jeep.
Yeah, it
swath.
just looks much bigger than the existing. It's much wider than the existing, so.
That way you would have more vegetated area, you would pick up some square footage. And I think making it as direct as possible makes sense. I mean, I understand why they want it across from their driveway, because this would be like, oh, we're just gonna walk down the driveway and across. It's gonna feel more continuous for them, which I get, but maybe there is a better way of doing it where it can be.
I was just thinking then they don't have to revegetate because when they move that house, they're gonna have to, all that's gonna get all banged up anyway. So then
Yeah.
you'd be, if you move it over, you're gonna, disturb stuff that's already natural where if they put it where it is, they're already having to revegetate that anyway. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, no, I
just,
agree with that. Or, I mean, they could even move it further west to like literally go through the house.
yeah, and then they wouldn't even have to,
But
then it would have
so
more of a curve.
it sounds like, not doing the viewing deck.
Yeah.
I don't know how John and Jim feel about it, or Bobby, and reducing this walking path to be 3 feet wide, maximum. I mean,
I would just, what's there now, I just walked by it the other day, it's just, the existing vegetation is just beach grass that's been manually planted there, as you can see on the plan, to the east of
Oh,
that
okay.
path shown. They're just plugs of beach grass, it's not like,
oh, so it's already been done.
it's already been done. And it just seems like, I just don't see a need without a viewing platform to cut all the way over through this newly vegetated
Come down right here.
area where the house
So
was.
this is going to here.
To me,
is getting
it's like a
revegetated.
diagonal cut versus, and if it was a more direct, I'd just like to see it along that property line, and then it could pick up where it exists. Right now, it's in the middle almost.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think-
I mean,
that
if
makes
it's
sense.
newly vegetated and it's not a big deal we're not cutting any
It's-
old vegetation, then I can see
Yes,
that.
like old scrub oak, old
Yeah.
heaths, heathers, whatever.
So it's not that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's, yeah, okay.
Madam Chair. Just a couple questions, comment. I'm generally okay with this from a resiliency standpoint. But I know what the standards that are referenced, and it's kind of a follow-up to Lisa's question about the vegetation. What are those standards? I mean, are they pretty objective that someone like a building inspector can look at and say, okay, these have met these standards? Because I just want to make sure that it's in keeping with that particular district, the floral and fauna part of it, if that makes sense. Do
you mean that-
this might be for Arthur, so
I'm
Arthur.
not sure what the question is, really.
Are you saying for our decision, so we make sure we reference the standards correctly so they're enforceable?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
are those standards? Are they specific standards?
What page is that in the staff memo?
Performance standards,
It starts on page 6.
Page 6.
what are those, as an example? Do we know? So what I'm concerned about is we have this thing in our head. I mean, we're concerned about the path, which maybe we should. But I don't, are there standards to ensure that they put in native, so many native plans
I-
for what was removed, that type of
I
thing.
assume there's something through the Conservation Commission approval that they've had to specifically give a plant list to revegetate that area? But I'm not sure. That would.
Yeah, I can jump in with some answers there.
Thank you, Brian.
The MMD performance standards, I guess, is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, so Natural Heritage also reviewed the restoration plan. We are proposing to revegetate the footprint with native species comprised of bayberry shrubs and Pennsylvania grass and switchgrass plugs to resemble what's out there currently under existing conditions. That was approved by Natural Heritage, and they have a condition that, explicitly states that only native species can be utilized. We also had gotten this project approved by the Conservation Commission. We would need to go back for a minor modification for the final path route and or deck if that gets approved. But Conservation did also approve the restoration plan components.
Oh, okay, so that's really, I'm just trying to find out if there's more, if the plans are more objective than subjective. And, following up with Lisa's comment, there aren't any plans that we see here that have any vegetation or the vegetation restoration, that's all. But it sounds like it would be covered by COMCON, is what you're saying,
Conservation.
and Mass.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
And then finally, my other question is there any elevation increase? I know the building height is not going to change, but
Good question.
is, hopefully there's not going to be fill brought in, but just the contour of the property?
Yeah, no fill material. No grade changes of any note. You can see there's a couple lower areas within the driveway to collect some runoff into a dry wells. But generally keeping with the current landform.
And no additional steps are shown. It doesn't look like it. So the relationship of the first floor to the grade is the same as what exists.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my concern, is suddenly this thing is there, and it's a big,
Well, they've added,
Structure.
yeah. But you would have to count those steps as more area. So you're not increasing the number of risers or treads. Are you? Question mark?
No.
Okay. I just want to, have that made clear. It looks like they're the same. It's hard to tell, but.
Is there any way we could blow that plan up of where the house is getting moved to and just
Yeah,
look a
the
little
proposed and the
closer?
existing, yeah.
Yeah. Just want to see all
Because
that
there's it only
detail.
looks like there's 2 treads or 3 maybe going up to that deck. And then I think if you look at the existing, it's also the same amount.
Correct. Yep.
You want to slide to the existing?
Didn't we, for a couple of other ones where I know we did one where there was a generator in the pit, but then didn't we do 2 where the generator went in the shed? Or under the shed
Yeah.
to minimize the disturbed?
You did. That was,
Yeah.
I think a project on, they're not right in this, they're in the MMD, but they're sort of closer to Bartlett, at the back side of it, but I think that had to go into the shed.
It would be nice for this to be in the shed.
I think it was 8 Wall Bay, maybe,
Yeah,
was the address.
that one I think had the one in the pit, and then the ones that were the one that were,
We had to put it, I think you guys made them put it in the shed.
oh, we did on Wellbang too.
I think so, because I wasn't sitting on it,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure they had to put it below the shed.
You're correct. Is that something we could look at here, Arthur?
I'm sorry, I don't completely follow what you're saying.
So for a couple of other properties that are also in this MMD area that were showing the generators in the pit. We had them, worked through it with them, that they would move the generator under the shed, and then I think there was a hatch or something to access it, just to reduce, and it helped reduce the amount of disturbed area.
In or under, right?
Yeah, in or under.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the feasibility of that. I mean, I would defer on that to the architects. I believe that either Doug Mills or Mark Catone may be, they're not on as participants, but they may be on the call if one of them could speak up on the issue.
That would be helpful, yeah, if they could.
Madam Chair, Douglas Mills does have his hand raised.
Okay. I still can't see on my end when people have their hands raised, which I thought was the whole point of me doing Zoom, having the Zoom, so I didn't have to keep turning around, but it doesn't show for me. Okay. No, I don't know if it's, I don't know. But I can't. At the last few meetings, I haven't been able to. So my apologies. I'm not ignoring anyone. It just doesn't pop up on my view. So I guess if we could bring the person over who's going to speak, that would be great.
Yeah, hi, Doug Mills for MCA. So currently the generator exists on the southern lot. So we're merely just proposing to relocate it. In terms of the idea of putting it in or under the shed, we've been told in the past by Marcus Silverstein that any kind of mechanical equipment that ends up in a shed renders that not a shed anymore. And I believe that's still his stance. So that's actually why we had originally proposed it under the shed, and we were told that we can't.
I haven't heard that before. That's the first time that's come up, I think, to us.
I haven't heard that either.
I mean, I think by the letter of the law, the shed's not supposed to be anything but an open space.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
get that.
people get away with a lot, so I don't know how it's enforced, but.
Yeah. And that would get you would be over ground cover then?
Correct.
Well, yeah, because already they're over because it's only 800.
Yeah, it would
Right.
convert
we're-
the shed from a zoning shed, which it is now, being under 200 square feet. By having the mechanical equipment in it, it no longer is within the definition of a so-called zoning shed, and therefore would increase the ground cover beyond what now exists.
But-
Can you show us where it is on the existing property? The generator?
The shed?
No, the generator.
Oh, it's, is it right here, Doug? I believe it's right here. There's some
I would-
mechanicals right here.
I would like to find out from Marcus for sure, because
Yeah, we've definitely required it on other places and
because you can have electrical in a zoning shed.
yeah.
And I guess it just depends on if it's, if it's an LP run generator and it has to be hooked up to a liquid propane tank, either outside the building or a freestanding 5-gallon tank that you'd use for your grill. When does it change over from being like, I have a battery charger in my shed that gets plugged in,
And pool equipment.
and
Can't-
pool
Yeah, we
equipment
always
can
put
go in a
pool
shed,
equipment in a shed.
which is a lot of times generated, energy is generated by gas. So I'm just curious when it turns into a non-zoning shed and turns into a structure, what takes it over that line?
Well,
Sorry.
one way we could deal with this, if this is important,
Yeah,
is to allow it in the decision, but acknowledge that it's not it not then brings it to a new status of a structure.
right. But
Is
then,
that
you know, you can't have a hot
possible?
water
That
heater in
way
a
we
shed, and
could-
you can't have an air handler in a shed, because then it is actually a structure. But I just wonder in this case,
And if we allowed it, I don't know if Marcus,
I want to hear from him.
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree, Elisa. We should get something in writing from Marcus or Paul, the
Yeah.
building commissioner, regarding this.
The other thing I would suggest is that the relocated shed, the way that it's, and also the generator pit, the way that they're laid out, the generator pit could be moved closer to the dry well, and the shed could be turned the other way so that you could cut down that disturbed area rather and bring it in more,
So it doesn't bump out.
so it doesn't bump out so far. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it looks like we have some things that we'd like to see change, like the removal of that, the viewing shed, reduction of the walking path, perhaps making it shorter by not having it curve so much and have it be a straighter line from, like Elisa was suggesting, closer to the property line. Get some clarification about the generator and putting it under or in the shed, and reducing that intrusion into the natural area. Anything else that we were?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Sorry, and one more thing, where the gas tank is, that is going to be located to feed the generator. If that could be on the plan too, that'd be great.
And, okay, is there, before we,
Did you mention the width of the walking path too?
I didn't say the width, but just to match, like reducing it, it shouldn't be,
Yeah,
it should be
okay.
in conformity all the way down.
Great.
And then, did anyone in the audience wanted to have any questions about this one?
Emily Walden's hand is raised.
Okay, let's hear from Emily, and then we'll go back and see if the board has any more questions. Bless you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Emily Molden here for the Nantucket Land and Water Council. First of all, I just want to say that I really support and appreciate the applicant's proposal to relocate the dwelling away from the eroding coastal bank. There were just a few things that I wanted to follow up from the board's discussion. First of all, I do agree with board members that the deck to remain on the southern side of the road does seem to be inconsistent with with minimizing environmental impacts. So I do agree with the concerns that the board has raised there. I think as far as the restoration of that area, it certainly is part of the board's jurisdiction in the MMD to look at and consider disturbance or restoration of vegetation. So if there is an existing restoration plan, I think it would be very appropriate and great if that could also be submitted to go along with this file for the board's final decision. And then the other thing that I just wanted to raise as far as a question has to do with the new location of the driveway and parking area on the north side of the road. I understand that Natural Heritage has approved this proposal when it comes to their requirements around rare and endangered species, but just considering the ZBA's own jurisdiction and performance standards for the Moreland Management District, one of which is in the staff report that talks about maximizing protection of moorlands and heathland vegetation. I guess I was just wondering if the applicant had considered locating that parking area to the south of the structure, closer to the road. I recognize that may not be as appealing from a view shed standpoint, but it seems like it could certainly reduce the amount of vegetation that needs to be disturbed up there. And I seem to recall that it may have come up when the board discussed this proposal back in the spring, but I don't recall what the answer to that question was. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. Maybe it's something the applicant could address. And then just finally, I appreciate the question about grade changes, and maybe the board could just consider a simple condition on a permit that to whatever extent appropriate memorializes that the new structure will be built at existing grade. Thank you very much.
I have a question about an HGC approval. Would that show up on an HGC approval that we could put into the record?
Well, we have an HDC approval in place at the present time.
Yeah, so maybe just submit that, because that'll show any grade change
No.
and any changes to adding steps and things like that. But I do appreciate Emily's thoughts about and it came up with, the question of the amount of disturbed north of the road. If you do reduce that driveway, there's a lot less disturbance. So maybe
Yeah,
some thought into that.
Also, just to put some things into perspective, so the top of that driveway area limit of work is basically at this property corner right here, more or less right here. So the northerly half of the property, the lot 24, is proposed to remain undisturbed. That is, largely this whole area up top. That's close to an acre, just for reference of what will remain undisturbed to the north.
I need to put that in as a condition.
But we're still disturbing more than in the new relocation than existed south of the road, correct?
I mean, can we pull that parking, like, could that whole thing shift down closer to the house?
Or in the southwest corner of that northern side.
I'm sure the front door is on the north side, so they're trying to get as close to
Yeah,
that as possible.
but where the porch is, and then there's the stairs, and then it looks like, right, is that a walkway? Like, maybe you could pull that,
Down 20
pull
feet
that
or
all
something.
down and like move it in closer.
So provide an alternative driveway and parking scenario.
Yeah, just to get
Yeah.
closer to the 1,500 that's currently disturbed and the 1930 that's proposed.
I like that idea.
And maybe, some of that's going to change because there'd be no viewing deck, and maybe the width of the walkway, if that was included, that'll maybe make a change, but just trying to get that, I think to Emily's point of trying to get those figures a little closer together would be helpful to explore.
Right, if that walkway was smaller, you could get the walkway out from the front door. You could reduce that
Yeah.
lawn area and then
You'd have
have
to move the
more.
septic tank
But yeah,
and pull
but then
that
you'd have
down, but that's not
more,
a big deal.
you'd have more undisturbed on the other side of the driveway.
Yeah. Move the shed down too.
That whole,
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to continue?
We do.
Okay, I'll make that.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Applicant, do you have Arthur, that's okay. Arthur, anyone, do you guys have anything else to add before we move forward with continuing?
Not at this stage of the game. Obviously, you're headed toward continuing the thing to the next meeting. So we may have other comments before then, but in any event, that's it for now.
Okay. So Lisa, sorry, you were making the motion to continue.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. So Lisa and Elisa, and then we'll vote Jim over again. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we will see you guys back in January.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yep. What's the action deadline on that one? Oh, March, okay. Okay, so that concludes our business for today. We just have, yeah, we just have our, old business and new business. So on to other business. Our next regular meeting is Thursday, January 8th, 1 PM here. And then we have our 2026 meeting schedule. Does anyone have any conflicts that they know about that we should address now?
I won't be here March 12th, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Okay,
Do you want a motion to approve the meeting schedule?
I think so, yeah.
I'll make that motion to approve the 2026 meeting schedule.
Second?
I'll second it, yeah.
Oh, Lisa got there first. Oh, third, okay. All right, so motion's been made by John. I think Lisa got there first to second it, and then we'll vote Jim over. All those in favor of the schedule as proposed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, so that carries. All right, so that is it for today, people. Thanks, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah,
So moved.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, see you in January. Sorry about the pranker, guys.
I'm new to
I was
that.
trying to understand.